Welcome back. Welcome back.
What are you, Mace?
Welcome back. We are back. Come on. To another episode of the Man Don't Care podcast. Thank you for tuning in every single week, every single time, tapping in, showing love. Make sure you're subscribing to the Man Don't Care podcast, Instagram, Spotify, IG, all the platforms. Make sure you're doing it. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Send some tops, show some love. Get some of the merch. The merch is here. The Man Don't Care merch. We have it. So if you want it, come get it. You know the vibes. All right, let's go through the tail of the tape. Beautiful lady to my right, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jaden Kennedy, and I am a real estate broker specializing in the greater Toronto area.
Mm-hmm. And y'all talk, and they didn't think we can go up in our life. Yes, real estate to sit with the Man Don't Care podcast. Come on. And the person to her right, please introduce yourself.
Artesz, you guys already know me. I'm a crazy guy, but you know?
Not the crazy guy. That's
Not a crazy guy, but you know, I say some crazy stuff.
Bomba, that's crazy.
Allegedly.
Not the allegedly.
Allegedly.
Not the allegedly fans. And then
It's all love.
and then the person to his right, please introduce yourself.
Hi.
Can you say hi again? Because man's in here. You come on.
Hello.
That's mod. You know it's bad when the mic doesn't even hear you, pick you up. That's crazy.
Damn, bro, you want
There you go. There you go. Put some bass in your throat,
That's
fam.
good
Come
enough for
on,
you,
boss. Yeah, you already know. So make sure you tap in every single week. Show love, show appreciation. Make sure you bring some topics. We love to hear topics from you at every given moment. How's everybody doing today? What's the vibe like? What's bubbling?
That was good. You know,
How was
can't
your
complain.
Valentine's?
Oh, shoot. That was last week, right?
Yeah.
Yep. About a week ago. That's crazy.
Y'all went nowhere?
Nope.
Nah, man.
I was good. I was sleeping like a baby. Worked till 7, went home, did some business, sleep.
Yeah, I don't support Valentine's Day anyways. Capitalist idea, you know?
Cut that out.
It's true.
Valentine's is every day for me. I'm a 24/7 man, not just a 24 man.
See how you changed his voice? So deep.
Jeez, come
Bro, who you
on.
trying to swindle? Like, go away,
Come
yo.
on. It's not about swindle. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
People who know that I'm in a relationship, I show love. I don't need to wait till Valentine's Day to do it. Valentine's Day is just a little scotch bonnet on top of what I've been doing. Come on.
Yeah, right. Who
Don't
you
do
lying
that.
to? We know you for.
You know me?
You know you, bro.
You know me.
You're
Tread light,
right.
brother.
You're right.
Just tread light.
So what is he not sharing?
Yeah, please.
He's trying to act like he's a romantic. He's not a romantic.
Said who?
Huh?
Drew's
Said
the
who?
biggest romantic.
Thank you.
The biggest.
Thank you. Come on. Respect
Biggest
me.
He's the biggest romantic, trust me.
When I want to be romantic, I could be romantic.
All right.
People know that.
All right,
Don't do
well,
that.
Okay, fine.
Don't do that.
Okay, fine.
You should know better, fans.
Okay,
You know me
fine,
one of the
fine.
longest. You should know better. This guy.
He's the biggest romantic.
Come on. Man's love to love. You find someone good to love, feel like Barrington Livy, you just want to rock away.
You living
yo.
dangerously.
Come on.
You know that one. Huh?
Come on.
Speaking
Or
of dangerous, like, did y'all see the whole government shooting down the balloons and shit?
Bro.
Or the UFOs, sorry.
Is it UFOs?
Yeah.
Incoming.
I'm telling you, it's aliens, bro. I told y'all from a minute ago that aliens exist.
It's probably China.
That's what I
Racist.
It's probably
Right,
China.
man says probably
Probably
China.
China.
Why do you think it's China?
I don't know. China's China. They're in Africa too, so why not? Like, they're
Yo,
everywhere.
blame Akon for that. Why do you bring them there?
Yo, I blame every corrupt dude in Africa over there.
Yo, y'all saw that thing with the they found it in Congo with the electric stone?
Yeah.
Electric stone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Put Hydro One out of business.
What?
It's like a stone, they put it together and it just starts electrifying and shit. Like
Elon
some
wow.
Musk could
static
charge their
shock shit.
phone with it. You mean?
Yeah.
Just put it together, just put it on the phone. Clear.
Yeah, because you know most of the
100.
stuff that in their iPhones and stuff come from Congo or whatever. The battery minerals and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. It was so funny. You know, like when that video got posted, I go in the comment section and I see people saying, "Oh, they're on their way already," which is based on the white guys or white countries are on their way to Africa.
That's
to-
crazy.
That's how. Isn't that how it went in? Wait, did y'all see Black Panther?
Yeah.
Black Panther 2?
Yeah, did you see Black Panther too?
No.
You want it to be ruined?
Go. It's okay. Do it for the podcast.
But that's how it is in Black Panther too. Remember the start of the scene where they came in and it was trying to get the vibranium?
Yeah, the vibranium.
Yeah, that's how it is. Colonizers colonize, bro.
Colonizers do colonizing things. Come on.
So y'all don't think these are UFOs, like aliens and shit?
I don't know, man. If they are, I'm not gonna lie to you. They need to take certain people off this planet. So I can't even hold you. Certain man, certain gal need fit. Yeah, they need to done. Like,
what if they bring back people though?
if they bring back people, like,
what if they bring back Michael Jackson?
yo, we need him. Respectfully, his music is blessed. Bring him. What if they bring Tupac? Whoa. Do you hear me?
They probably already abducted John Tory.
But see,
Oh, we should have started off with that. Hold on, let me sit up. Like, I forgot about that, yo.
you forgot about that guy?
Probably a different John Tory right now in the office. That's why he's doing what he's doing.
Tory John.
It's crazy.
Oh,
Young Tory.
You know what's crazy? And know what? The dude is what, 60 something?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And this guy's bagging 30-year-olds, and 30-year-olds having problems bagging 30-year-olds.
That's a deep
People already having
reflection.
trouble getting relationships, and he's bagging younger girls.
He's frolicking in fornication.
Oh,
Come
my
on, bro. I mean, you hear what the man said? He's like during COVID, he built a
So
relation.
this was during COVID when he was telling people to
Yep.
stay.
He was telling people to turn in on the yard when the gal was up in the yard. That's what it was going on. He told the girl, if you say you want to come around, this guy.
So did they do the budget meeting yet? The budget meeting that they had?
They said that he was supposed to be there for it. They feel like he was going to do. I don't know. I didn't look into that. But they did say that they had a feeling that he might be there. But then today on the news, they said that he had 24 hours until he was done. So, I don't know. This is moving like Young and the Restless right now. I can't keep up.
Can you imagine you're at your job and you resign, but you can still stay there?
Bro.
Like you can still stay there for a week to make important decisions?
This is why I said R.I.P. Rob Ford. Rob Ford would have never.
Because he had more than enough to eat at home.
You know what I'm saying?
He had more than enough to eat at home.
Lavish, brother. Lavish. I got R.I.P. to Rob Ford. I don't care what anybody said. Rob Ford really put on for the culture. He really did. He
Did he?
represented the Bandom with pride.
Why? Because he was in the Etobicoke and Don Bosco
Nope.
football team and
He
all
was-
that stuff.
He was actually like, so I was honored and privileged to actually perform in front of like 4 different mayors. And he was one of those, out of all 4 of them, to me, he was like my favorite. Because like he was just honest, full of joy. He was at like the Jane and Finch community, just chopping it up. Like he's the mayor, but he's just there like he was like the mandem. Like he was just enjoying himself. Like you don't see that with a lot of people. Genuinely enjoying themselves around people. And he didn't even care if the cameras were there or not.
Oh,
Just
they
doing
care.
it.
All these politicians are fake anyway.
I don't know. Not Rob Ford, bro. Not Rob Ford.
Would he ever run for mayor or run for office or one of those stuff?
Would mans vote for me? That's the question. Would mans vote for me?
I mean,
would
have
you all
enough
vote for
followers.
me?
Vote for you?
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's
That's crazy. The fact that you have to breathe like that, I don't even want it, dog.
Okay, from the members of the pod, if they were running for mayor of Toronto, who would I vote for?
I'm included in this, by the way.
You're included? You're running?
Yeah, I'm running.
All right. I'll vote for Kwame. Elvis.
Yo.
I'll vote for Elvis.
There's going to be a bunch of colonized words that he's going to put in his speeches. We're not doing this for
Yo,
the
'cause I
white
know
man's
if-
holiday. That's what we're not
If I
doing.
vote for Kwame, I know for sure Dr. Umar is going to be...
He'd be proud.
He'll get a Toronto school. Dr. Umar will get a Toronto school. That would be lit.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? You know how they changed UFT? What's
You-
UFT now? No, Ryerson. They
Ryerson?
changed Ryerson
So
to...
Metropolitan.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Metropolitan.
Yeah.
I know for sure Elvis will change that to the Dr. Umar University of Toronto.
Or Dr. Kwame.
Dr. Kwame. Yeah, I'll vote
Dr.
for
Kwame
Elvis. Yo.
Santos. Come on.
I'll vote for Elvis.
School of knowledge. Yo.
Who do you vote for?
I don't know. I feel like, okay, there's 3 people. Can't even lie.
Mhm.
It would be Kwame.
Mhm.
It'd be you. And I'm not gonna lie, I would say Artesz though. I'm not gonna lie.
He'll be the most corrupt politician ever.
No, man, most honest.
Most corrupt.
I'm
He
the
would make a
most-
day called McDonald's
I am the
Day.
most honest dude in this
He'll be
podcast.
siphoning
I
money
say
to
honest-
Ghana.
I say honest stuff. The most honest dude in this podcast.
The man's gonna say, yo, it's D&D Day, date and McDonald's Day, straight.
He'll
Read
make McDonald's the official
Great
food
again.
of Toronto.
He'll be make McDonald's great again. Tell them, dog. Madder.
McGriddles? Happy Meals?
Say that in the mic. Say that in the mic. Say it with your chest.
McGriddles and Happy Meals.
There
that's it.
you go.
Who
Talk
doesn't
that
like a
smack.
Happy Meal? Don't you like Happy Meals? See?
Yeah,
Everybody
got the
loves
little
Happy Meal.
toy or whatever too.
100%.
Apple slices, caramel.
Gee.
Oh, you have a combo.
She's a real one, eh?
knows?
She's
I
a
didn't
real
know
one.
that.
Wait, that's what's in a Happy Meal?
I think so. I don't know.
You didn't know?
Nah, I don't. I try to
Yeah, I
avoid
know
those
that.
stuff. I'm a Rasta. I don't use.
Not her.
That's from when I was a kid, but I'm assuming it's probably the same thing.
They
I
probably
never had
remixed
apple
it.
slices.
Yeah, no, the
'Cause
apple slices.
They
for
had
sure.
McDonald's in Jamaica for a hot minute, but then we started selling rice and peas and chicken in there, and then they closed it down.
No way.
Because
Yeah,
they knew.
What we eat burger for? We picnic.
Yeah.
The only thing
Wow.
is chicken sandwich. So Burger King is huge in Jamaica because they like the chicken sandwich because we're black and we like chicken.
Facts.
So like burgers don't really sell like that.
I thought different McDonald's around the world sell
Different
different things, right?
Yeah,
Is that a-
yeah. So like
Okay.
back in the day, I think maybe like 10, 15 years ago, that's the last McDonald's. Burger King bought them all out, and then because we
Wow.
had like rice and peas on the menu, fried chicken, and
You guys,
that's
it's a typical like Jamaican restaurant.
But that's
Yeah,
why
but-
everybody wants to go there for yam the food. Don't get upset. Okay?
Speaking of, I saw something online. I don't know which one of these blog sites, but like they're trying to bring the McDonald's from India to Brampton, or somebody said no, they should bring the McDonald's from India to Brampton because of the Indian menu because they have masala chicken and stuff like that.
Nah, no, it's weird.
It's weird.
No,
I feel like it would get customers though.
It
It
would.
would.
It's Brampton.
It would.
I don't know.
Do Ghanaians have like a?
I have no idea, man.
Oh yeah, you're a fake Ghanaian. I forgot.
we're already dealing with like vehicles that have Canadian license plates on it. It's like
So you guys don't colonize foods. You colonize CRVs.
That's crazy.
That's pretty much.
That's crazy.
pretty yeah.
You gentrify CRVs. You don't gentrify the menu.
Jeez.
I rate it still.
Jeez.
Toyota RAV4s and all that. Honda
That's-
CRVs.
That's crazy, bro. Imagine doing that in the Caribbean, yo. They just put everything from the Caribbean and send it over here. That'd be.
I don't like that.
This guy. Honestly, I don't like you sometimes because you always hit me with the. Yeah, honestly, I would
that. Why
like
would
it
you
if
want that?
Jamaica brought Jamaica over here. Like
I
what?
am building a crib over there though, so
Ah,
yeah. So
how you feel? How do you feel that you're putting your money, investing it
To be
into
honest with you,
into
I have-
motherlands?
I put like 2K in and have a huge plot of land.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure about the acres. I forgot the acres, but
You better go find that out.
bro, it's better than here. Fuck $2,000. I can't buy anything here, right? So
You can buy stuff. It just won't last. You could buy $2,000 worth of Costco stuff. It won't last though. That's what I mean.
yeah,
Probably will last like a
I'm
month.
building a couple things over there, so we'll see.
So are you putting like $2K every month, or you just like you
God,
just
no, with inflation, hell no.
in this climate
Yeah.
above the equator?
It's tough.
What?
This will be your expertise
There
pretty
you
much when
go.
it comes to like housing.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of clients right now who are actually selling their properties in Canada and moving to Jamaica. So a lot of them already have plots of land and they're cashing out on their properties here and then using like half the money that they're cashing out here and building these big mansions. So
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with, I still want to go visit Jamaica, but I've heard that you can get a lot more for your money over there, especially when it comes to real estate.
Absolutely.
Not
Our-
really anymore.
Our dollar is shitty.
No, not really anymore. Because what's happening now, from what I see from like online real estate videos, their pricing is same as here now. So because they see like American investors and those sort of stuff as mark, as an opportunity. So you're coming to the island and you're buying a house that's $400,000 US, Meanwhile, that house can be made with 200,000 US.
Fuck.
Yeah. So no, my people, they're all building their
They're
house. So I
building.
think that's
That's-
easier for
yeah.
them, right? Because
Yeah.
I guess they're catching on over there. And because the thing is, people are coming from, Canada, the US with a lot of money when they go to Jamaica, right? So
Yeah.
it makes sense that they're marking stuff up.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's just like
Money
it's
off
tough
of
to
America.
get here, and then you can just like build back home. But the only issue when you're trying to build homes back home, I don't know if you run into this, is like you're gonna have to trust somebody back home
Yeah.
to build that house.
Really trust them.
Like you're sending money to them, and you're hoping that they're
They build
not
it.
gonna be like, oh,
Yeah.
we ran out of
Oh,
materials,
No, they're
we
for
need
sure
more
pocketing- They're
steels.
for sure pocketing some extra dollars.
Yeah, so
You
it's
have
like
to
a
find
huge trust.
Trust.
It's
Yeah.
a huge trust because I see people send money a yard,
And
send
not,
money a yard, send
not,
money a
not
yard,
building.
and the house is still unfinished.
They didn't even
for
buy
years.
a hammer yet.
That's why I'll take a plane ticket over there and or run them. Like, where's my money?
Yeah, you think it's that?
You think they're gonna get back? What are you gonna sue?
Nah,
Who you gonna sue?
No.
What's 10% of zero, big man? What's 10% of zero
Yeah,
now?
sue.
Where's this and that? You gotta add them up a little bit.
You're a guy for that one still.
You have to. So you said you're a broker, correct?
Yeah.
What a mortgage broker?
No, so I'm a real estate broker.
What is
So
that?
you
Yeah.
can be like a realtor,
Mhm.
and then after 2 years, you can get your broker's license, and that
Okay.
will enable you to potentially open a brokerage one day. So
Okay.
I could have my own brokerage one day,
Mm-hmm.
but it also requires another level of education, and I sort of wanted the educational component of that to learn not only the ins and outs of a transaction from a consumer perspective, but
Mhm.
also an institutional perspective. So
Just a quick
That's-
question
yeah.
for me. What's the difference between a realtor and a broker?
being completely honest, it's more in the title because there's a
Mhm.
lot of realtors who have the knowledge required to be a broker,
Mhm.
but they just don't necessarily feel like they need to become a broker. I would say the main thing is just being able to open your own brokerage, but it has nothing to do with mortgages. I think a lot of the time there's like mortgage agents, just
Mhm.
like realtors, and then there's mortgage brokers,
Mhm.
just like real estate brokers. So it's sort of just different designations for
Mhm.
for different levels.
So what is the meaning though of like broker and
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Just
Here's
a
my
salesperson-
here's my slow analysis or answer or breakdown of it. So a realtor
yeah.
is the one that helps you find a house,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Some realtors can also help you get the mortgage,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then you have the brokerage or broker
Mm-hmm.
that is in charge of getting you that mortgage. Am I close?
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Yes. So you can work with a realtor
Mhm.
or a real estate broker,
Mhm.
right? A real estate salesperson or a real estate broker, and both of them can help you buy a house.
Right.
Now, in order to get a mortgage, you're going to have to work with a mortgage agent or a mortgage broker. So it might be two
Oh.
different people.
Might be two different
or
people.
it could be the same person. I know
Depending
some
on
people who
your-
have. Sorry, I'm not looking at you because I just don't want to mess up the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mic. That's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some people do have their mortgage agent license and their real estate license, and they'll do both. So they're a one-stop shop. Hey, you want to buy a house? Come, I'll get you the financing, and then I'll also help you purchase the property. But being a broker is more of like a designation,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Hey,
So-
what takes longer to get in terms of
Honestly,
license?
they're both very fast, but definitely a mortgage license is significantly faster. I know a couple people who've done it in a couple of weeks.
couple of weeks.
Couple of
Wait,
weeks.
you don't need like years of schooling to
no,
for this?
no. The barrier of entry is extremely low. Same with real estate. You're looking at you have max 2 years to complete your license. You
Mhm.
go through Humber. So, for example, I think it's about 40% of realtors in Toronto. There's 70,000 of us did 0 deals last year. And that's because people think it's, easy and the barrier of entry is extremely low. But once you actually have to transact, it's not the same story. And I think it's 85% of realtors did between 0 and 5 deals last year. And if you're doing
Wow.
between 0 and 5 deals, you're not making too much money after you take into account, your brokerage split, your taxes, your annual and monthly dues. It's not too much. So I think it's very important if anyone listening to this is considering getting their license. Once again, 85% of the realtors did 0 to 5 transactions. So if you think it's something that's going to be easy, it's definitely not as easy as it might seem.
0 to 5
Tread light,
transactions?
guys.
Yes.
Tread
What's the
light.
normal transactions in a good year? Or
Depending on the property, right? Like you say you do 5 or 6 transactions, you could be at 100K. if you do 5 or 6
not
transactions.
bad.
So, there's
So
some
5
realtors who
transactions,
do 0. There's some who do 5. I know some who do
for
200
the 12-month span.
for the
year.
12-month span. For the 12-month
Okay.
span. So it really just depends. But if you're in the top 15%, I think you're doing over maybe like 12 transactions.
Top 15 is 12
Yeah,
transactions.
yeah.
So
Could
it's
be a
like-
little less, honestly.
So is that 70% are doing under 5, basically? Under 3.
Yeah. I would say between under 5 for sure. Under 5 for sure.
Is that
Yeah.
because of how the market is right now, or?
Well, there's always going to be houses for sale and, houses that people are buying. But the issue is just that the industry is extremely saturated right now, right? There's so many realtors and there's only so many transactions. And there's established realtors who have repeat clients and referral clients, right? So those people are already tied to those realtors. So if you're a new realtor, you have to get in and find new business where people aren't already loyal to another realtor, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So what made you want to step into that field? Because like you said, with that, as much as it's easy to get, it's hard to get those transactions. So what made you go into that field and stay within that field?
Okay. So specifically for people who look like us, because unfortunately we are not like other cultures where ownership is necessarily, very, very common. And we don't have these financial conversations at the dinner tables. We might not have, family members who are supportive of these type of endeavors because we're so used to renting. So I went to University of California. At the school, there was a lot of rich people. I asked them how they build wealth. They said it was through real estate. So I said, okay, let me look a bit more into this.
Yeah.
Did some research, had conversations with people in our community back home, and realized that a lot of us see ownership as a liability as opposed to a way to potentially build wealth and generational wealth, right? So I decided, you know what? The biggest sort of barrier that I'm seeing when it comes to ownership for people within our community is simply education. So let me educate myself. And, Google, there's so many things that come up. We don't know what's accurate, what's inaccurate, how to do certain things. So I said, okay, let me sort of dissect the information and try to put it out in like an easily digestible way and leverage social media so that I can reach as many people as possible and sort of normalize conversations with not only people within my family, but, everyone's families and friends, and hopefully make real estate, a common conversation.
I heard that.
Thank you.
I heard that.
So that's why, I know my why. A lot of realtors, they get in because they're motivated by money. I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated by supporting people within our community. And naturally from that comes money.
And Dr. Umar Johnson would be very proud to hear that because she'd be like, my sister,
Yeah,
you are representing us so well, my sister. There you go.
that is the goal.
So, what would you recommend for someone that hasn't, how do you start off getting a home?
How do you
Great
start
question. Great
Break
question.
it down.
Yeah.
None of us have a home here.
Okay.
Speak for yourself, bro.
Well,
Okay. So you told us before the podcast that you have a house. So give yourself credit where it's due.
yeah, I do. but
And you're
let's
about
just-
to do something in Jamaica. But yes, we'll act for
No,
this.
well,
In
Ghana.
Oh, Ghana. Sorry. Right.
Motherland,
Apologies.
He's
I know.
that.
Bye.
No, the way he rubbed it in, the motherland, don't do
Yeah,
that.
you guys all come from there, but that's the story,
Yeah, so I think that the main thing is, number one, before you're even thinking about ownership, you have to create a relationship with your finances and your credit score. So
I
if
like how you put that.
Yeah.
Thank
Creating
you.
a relationship with your
You
finances.
have to.
For a second, I'm like, yo, who named finance?
But to say,
yeah,
she
I
have a
get what you're
number?
saying.
She unhinged?
Yeah,
Jesus.
create a relationship with your finances. I rate that.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
deep still. That was
Thank you,
poetry.
guys.
And how's
I'll keep that
and
one.
expand on that, poetry.
Thank you,
Poetry.
guys. Thank you.
So-
So the first thing is just getting a credit card, right? Try to get a credit card. Try to start building your credit, because at the end of the day, credit is your ticket to a lot of things in life, because the things that are really going to generate you money, you're going to need capital for. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have that capital. So to be able to have access to the capital when the time comes is imperative, because some people, they start to try to build their credit when they're ready to purchase a property. But unfortunately, that's a little too late. So
Too
if you
late,
start
yeah.
building your credit earlier and be proactive as opposed to reactive, you're going to be able to set yourself up properly, and then you'll get as this relationship continues to,
Expand,
develop, you'll get a better understanding of, oh, okay, when I do this with my credit card, these are the repercussions, or this is what will happen. And if I do this is going to increase my credit, right? So your credit, and then also just with money, tracking, your subscriptions. Are you subscribed to certain things that you don't necessarily need to be?
They told us to delete Disney Plus, didn't they?
Yeah.
So
Delete Disney Plus.
delete Disney Plus to save money for eggs. So.
It's a YouTube thing for me. So. it's a YouTube thing for
Right?
me, fam.
And then Netflix is snaking us right now, with the
Yeah.
whole
they did us
postal
dirty
code
with
thing
that.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
and they're only doing it for Canada and like some, basically outside the U.S. So basically, there's no more sharing your Netflix
That
account.
sucks.
Yeah.
Better come with your own. A woman asked me for a Netflix. Be like, girl, you better come with your own. You better.
No more
you better-
Netflix and chill.
Right?
YouTube and
It's
chill.
YouTube.
It's YouTube.
Tubi and chill.
Tubi and chill. Come on.
Tubi and chill.
Come
Yeah.
on.
So yeah.
So just keep track of your subscriptions, and then it's called the home buyers plan. And what you can do is you can actually tap into your RRSPs and pull up to $35,000 out of it to put towards a down payment tax free, right? So it's understanding different investment vehicles and places that you can park your money, so that when the time comes to purchase a property, you're able to do that. And a great way to learn about these things is to listen to podcasts like this, follow people like me, and just read books. YouTube, there's so much good information out there now, but really just educate yourself and surround yourself with the right people. Not only realtors, mortgage agents, brokers, the people who are serious about helping others build wealth. I don't care if you're going to purchase 10 years down the line or tomorrow. I'm willing to have those conversations with you and connect you with the appropriate people.
You heard that, folks.
So on that, what's it called? RRS?
RRSPs, yeah.
So you're able to pull
$35,000 out, exactly. So depending on your contribution, you can pull $35,000 out, use that towards a down payment. If you're buying with, say, someone you're in a relationship with, they can also pull out $35,000. That's $70,000 right there. You have 15 years to repay it, and you start paying back
You
year
have 15
two.
years.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like, again, I'm the audience here.
Yes.
So this is like OSAP for houses.
It could be like OSAP for houses.
That's mod.
Yes, but the money has to go to the house. I believe
Yes.
with OSAP, right? You
OSAP
can do
has
whatever.
to go to the school. No, it has to go to the school. Your education. Like you
I
Okay.
think you're confused. You have to have 35,000 in the RSP, right?
Yes, you have to
Oh,
have
you
the
already-
money.
you already have to have it in
have the
there.
money in the R.
Oh,
exactly.
okay, so that's why I wanted to clarify where did this 35,000
No.
came from.
You have to have the 35.
Okay.
So there's another thing. It's called the home buyers, the first time buyer incentive. Now
Yeah.
this is where you can actually get money from the government to put towards a down payment on a property. Now the issue with the first time home buyer incentive is a myth that some people think is that you need 20% down to buy a house. You actually don't. You can put as low as 5% down on a property. So with this government incentive,
5%.
5%.
She got me
So
on
if the house is 500,000,
Yes. Okay.
I
So
only need to. Sorry, go ahead.
go. You only need
I'm bad at
5%, so
math.
25K.
25K.
Exactly.
So 25K, theoretically speaking, if you have a fairly decent job to save up 25K, if you're aggressive with it and you want to put $1,000 every month into savings for that house, you would probably need to do it for 25 months, right?
That is true, but there's also a couple other things. So we'll get in. Let's unpack this down payment myth.
Please
So-
unpack it.
Yes.
I'm intrigued.
Okay, so essentially what happens is that it's sort of like a staggered structure. So for the first $500,000 of a house, you're going to put 5% down. Then from 501,000 to $1 million, or I guess 999, you're going to put 10% down. And then on $1 million plus, you're going to have to put 20% down. So
Can't put 5% down on like 600 plus.
600 no, so 600,000 for example, 500,000 would mean 5% on the first 500,000, so you're looking at 25K, and then the difference between 600 and 500 is 100,000, so that 100,000 will be at 10%, which is $10,000. So a down payment on a $600,000 house would be 25 plus 10, so $35,000. Now, on top of that, where I sort of wanted to touch on his comment about, say, 35 months, is that you also have to save for closing costs. So a lot of the times, people think that the only time you need cash to purchase a house is when you're actually putting a down payment, but you also need to have 1.5 to 3% of the purchase price to put towards closing costs. So this is like lawyer fees, land transfer tax, etc. So you're looking closer to around like the 45K mark. depending on the house price. So you want to just make sure that you take into account the down payment and the
So you said
closing
3%.
costs.
3%, about 3% closing costs.
Yeah,
Initial.
1.5 to 3% depending on the property, where it's located, etc.
So pretty.
Yeah. So for a $500,000 house, you're looking at $25,000 down, and then between $7,500 and $15,000 for closing costs.
Okay.
So
Wow,
you add
man,
those
that's
up.
crazy.
That's
7,500. Sorry. So
7,500 to 15,000. So
For the
1.5 to 3%
Mhm.
for closing costs. So that'll cover things like land transfer tax, lawyer fees, title insurance. I don't know if you guys have been seeing all the headlines where
No, what
people's
happened with-
homes are being sold without them being aware of
Oh,
the houses being
yeah,
sold
yeah.
and stuff.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So I don't.
Wait, how are they able to get away with that?
Honestly, there could be a little bit of corruption going on, of course, a little bit of foul play, but something that a lot of people don't really touch on when they're discussing this topic is the fact that when you purchase a property, you typically get title insurance. It's a one-time fee, usually between $300 to $500, and this will actually cover you in these types of events. So it's always important to get title insurance. If you're working with a lawyer, they'll most likely already put that into your closing costs, but there are ways to protect yourself in that situation.
So how does that even happen though?
Yeah. So for titles, like, is the title still like a physical paper, or is it not like digital?
It's yeah. So it's digital. The way that I think that it happens. So for example, there was the one couple. I guess they were overseas for work or something like that.
Yeah.
The only way that the property could be sold without them knowing is, number one, someone had to have known that the house was vacant for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if it was
Inside job.
There's
type
an
thing.
inside job somewhere, right? And then when you're a realtor and you're going into a property and you're talking to the owners, you're asking them probing questions, right? So the issue that we saw here was that supposedly they had fake ID that matched the name of like all of these guys. Supposedly it's the same group of people who were doing a bunch of them, and they're all
Scam of them
connected.
there.
And yes,
Scam of them there. Crazy.
yeah. Exactly. But they had
Crazy.
fake IDs, and the fake IDs were matching the names that are in our system, right? So as a
Yeah.
realtor, when I go to a property and it says, okay, Patrice Leslie is the owner. Oh my gosh. Sorry, Patrice. Yeah, Patrice Leslie is the owner of the property. And I see the ID that says Patrice Leslie, and then say I go on Facebook or something and it shows the same picture and the same name.
Oh, they elaborate scheme.
Yeah, no. Yes, these people are serious, right? So
Ocean's 11,
Yeah.
Ocean's 6.
Ocean 6. So yeah, it's like you can only do so much due diligence as a realtor, and when it comes to the lawyer's perspective, once again, there's only so many things. It's not like on the title system we have pictures of every single owner to sort of match up the pictures
pictures and
with
stuff.
the names, but this has highlighted the fact that there's a lot of things within the industry that could definitely be worked on, especially considering the size of the transactions, right?
In this
That's
year
crazy.
climate, the scam of them are on a different level, yo.
Gotta respect it sometimes, though.
We
Just
were
don't
thinking
do
they
it.
were just doing CRA and SIM numbers.
That's crazy.
No.
They might upgrade now. They all trickle into the real estate now,
Yeah.
dog.
No one's really talking about this. I'm sure they will soon. But another thing that's happening right now is people are actually hacking lawyer and mortgage people's emails. And what they're doing is they're either changing the email or they're creating another email that's similar to theirs, right? So
Yeah.
Jaden Kennedy Real Estate with 2 E's,
Yeah.
they're emailing clients who are going to be purchasing property saying, hey, wire transfer me the $100,000 close. I had a colleague, $120,000. His clients got an email from, they thought it was the lawyer. There was one thing off,
Yeah.
but the name said the law
Everything else.
office.
Yeah.
And the clients actually transferred like $120,000 to the lawyers. And then my colleague and the lawyer were like, okay, closing's coming up. We need you to wire money. And they said, we already
already
wired
did.
the money.
Wow.
And so they're working. Thankfully, they have enough capital to close on the property, but they are going through a lot of legal stuff right now to try to get the $120K back.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
How would they get that back though? It's gone.
Yeah, I have no idea
And they
because they willingly gave
Gave it.
the money, right?
It's like-
Despite
it's
it
like if
being
you do it-
impersonating.
It's like if you do Interact e-transfer, they don't get your money back. Something like that happened in the States. They have Zelle or Cash App.
Yeah, Cash
So
App.
she Cash App the rent, but gave it to the wrong person.
And they
But
didn't
once
give
you
it back.
send it, it's your responsibility.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
get it back.
So that's why I always tell you, I'm like, why don't you have auto deposit on your stuff? Because I don't want to send it to the wrong person, and then you know what I
Facts.
mean.
Yeah. No, so
That's
But
crazy.
it's hectic. But as we're on the topic of money, something
That's
that I
crazy.
really did want to bring up, we are talking about, first-time home buyer programs and just coming up with funds. Because the biggest issue nowadays is a couple of things. Number one, you're pre-approved for 4 to 5 times your income. Okay, so say you're making $50K, you're going to get pre-approved for $200,000 to $250,000. what is that going to buy you in today's market?
Nothing.
Probably nothing, right? So
A little shack.
a little shack, yeah.
Let's see.
Exactly.
That's mad.
Exactly. So it's either, people don't have the income, or maybe they don't have the credit, or they don't have the down payment funds. Now the government came in, they said, hey, we're going to help you guys out. We're going to introduce this incentive where you provide, say, 5%, and we'll give you another 5% for your down payment. And this will actually reduce your monthly mortgage payments by, let's say, $50, $100, $150, right? So some people are taking this incentive because they say, hey, look, on the front end, the government's helping me out, and my mortgage on a monthly basis is going to be cheaper.
Right.
But the trade-off on the back end is that they want 5% of the equity of your property when you go to sell. So if you're purchasing a property that's $500,000 and they're giving you 5%, that's $25,000, right? Real estate on average doubles every 10 years. So now that house 10 years down the line is $1 million. What's 5% of $1 million? It's not 25,000. It is now doubled, right? So now they want $50,000 back. And let's say that you did renovations. You went, painted the house, you made this kitchen all nice, and it actually appreciated more than double a year. I want to say that it's up to 8%, or there's some type of limit annually. But in the grand scheme of things, up at face value, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm saving a few $100s a month. But when you add up what you're saving on a monthly basis versus what you're actually going to be paying them back in the form of equity, the math doesn't math.
Wouldn't that be like a little bit of a fair trade-off for someone who doesn't have that extra 25 or need to get in the housing market? Because it's already difficult as is.
Yes.
Again, even if you're aggressive with the saving, you might say, okay, I'm not going to take that 25,000. I'm going to save for that 25,000 maybe for a year and a half. And a year and a half, the housing market skyrockets. And the house that you wanted to purchase is now 40,000 more.
Exactly. So what you're this is the main caveat, right? It's not like the government is giving you the first 5%.
Yeah.
You need the first 5% to begin with.
So
what I'm saying is, if you don't need their 5%, don't take their 5% because their 5% is going to turn into 10% down the line,
down the road. And
right?
they don't account for all the time that you put in.
Exactly.
They didn't cover 5% of fixing the water faucet.
Basically, it's just better to do it yourself.
Exactly. I will say there are, I won't get too far into it because I'm not into mortgages, but they do look at your debt to income ratios, and sometimes people actually cannot qualify for a property based off of their situation. So there are situations in which the 5% does actually help people, but for the majority of cases, I say if you don't need to take the 5%,
nobody
don't do it.
Abort,
right?
Taskmaster.
It's like you're doing all of this work in the property and it's appreciating. I would rather save money on the back end and pay an extra couple $100s on a monthly basis, but some people might not be able to afford that.
I have a question. Is the 5% only for the first time?
That's a great question. So that's another misconception or myth. A lot of people think that you can only put 5% down on your first property. I would say that there's a couple of ways that you can purchase multiple properties with just 5% down. It all comes down to your principal residence and the story that you have. So say I purchase a property, it's a smaller property right now, and I have an expanding family, and I only have, the means to put 5% down on my next property. If I go to a lender and I say, hey, look, I'm actually outgrowing this property, I'm going to move into another property, it's a bit bigger for my family, and that becomes my principal residence, and I'm going to potentially have someone else move into my existing property, you could potentially put as low as 5% down, and then the 10 once you hit, 600, etc.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of game. It all comes down to your primary residence when you want to put 5% down on a property.
So
now,
first-time home buyer is not, like they say it's 5%, but you can still do it even though it's not your first
even though it's not your first house. Yes, exactly. So it really just depends on how you structure everything. That's why I really emphasize the importance of working with, realtors and mortgage agents and brokers who know the ins and outs of the game, because once again, the barrier of entry is extremely low and some people aren't aware of these types of things, right? But we're out here trying to build wealth, so we need to know all of the ins and outs of the situation.
So in that scenario, though, how aggressive? I don't know if you know from your experience with dealing with this. How aggressive are they with like fact checking and cross checking?
Oh, they're very aggressive, especially right now. Just with the interest rate climate, a lot of lenders are very the interest rates are higher, which means that it's harder to qualify for a mortgage, and they're being super strict right now. So as long as everything adds up, you'll be completely fine. But the issue right now is people think, oh yeah, we're seeing like a crash or whatever. I don't think it's a crash. It's simply a correction. And the inflation targets that they've put into place and the measures that they've taken to increase interest rates have done what they need to do. And that's decrease people's buying power and get some people sort of out of the buying game. I sort of feel a little bit of a way about that because the people who are impacted the most are the first-time home buyers, you know, the people who already have properties, because they don't have any equity to leverage, right? So someone who doesn't have a property, they want to purchase something, interest rates are crazy high, they may have been able to qualify before, but they can't anymore. Whereas if you already own a property, you might have some equity to leverage to then move up to another property, or there's an investor who's sitting on a bunch of capital who interest rates doesn't really impact too much.
Yeah.
And then they get into the market that way too.
I'm not the swiftest deer in the forest, but everything she said just made sense to me so quickly. And I'm not the swiftest deer in the forest, but she put me in the forest because now it intertwines with how you were talking about, like if you had a house and you lived with your woman and you would buy like now it's the math is mathing in my head now, because it's like if you're doing all this equity on one, you gotta start doing our next equity on another piece of house and all this piece. Dang, that's crazy.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you on
That's
the debt ratio.
Yes.
Like how would you break that down?
Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. That's more of a mortgage question. What I do know is that they're going to look at how much money you make and how much money is allocated to your debts on a monthly basis. So I think it's around 30 or 40% is the sweet spot. If you have debt that's higher than that on a monthly basis, might be harder for you to qualify for a mortgage, because at the end of the day, the lenders are going to say, okay, Jaden's already putting X amount of money to her debts on a monthly basis. Is she going to be able to carry the property when the time comes?
For those
I can go on then. I can go on, have a little home, yo. I only do like a 20. I'm good. I can squeeze. Come on.
So for those what do they look? So they look at like car loans, student loans as well?
Student loans, mortgages. Mortgages is a really big one, right? So a lot of people, it's hard to purchase properties right now. So a lot of people are doing joint ventures, say having their parents go on title, purchase a property with them. But you have to take into account that if someone already owns a property, a lot of their income is going towards that property already. So adding them to your application might not actually be in your best interest, because their debt to income ratios might already be too high. So it's just monthly recurring debts. We're not talking about like phone bills, but money that you actually have to be paying back. They're going to be looking into
So
that.
anything that's mandatory, basically, that you can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. And on that front too, I sort of just want to touch on credit really quickly, because there's multiple ways that your credit is sort of calculated, and one of the main ways is through, of course, repayment, but another one is credit utilization. So when you have a credit card, the magic number to stay under is 30% utilization. So if you have a credit card with a limit of $100, you want to keep your balance at $30 or lower, and you'll be in the clear. Then you want to make sure that you're repaying that debt. And another sort of hack to increase your credit score is to increase the amount of credit that's available to you. Because say your $100 access goes to $1,000 access and you're only using that $30 still, you're now at 3% utilization as opposed to 30%, which is going to look way better to lenders. But I do want to caution people, when you are offered a credit limit increase, if you are responsible, I recommend that you take it, because that will decrease your credit utilization. However, if you go to the bank and you say, I want to increase my credit limit, that might actually hurt your credit, because you are the one requesting the credit limit increase. At the end of,
So you should basically let them offer it to you then.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes,
Okay.
at the same
To a
time,
certain degree.
To a certain degree. Don't get me wrong. I've asked for credit before, because, you know, at the end of the day, for a rainy day, you never know what I'm going to want to be doing. You can also rebuild that credit, buy a couple things, pay money back, and you'll be good. But you want to make sure that you keep that in check for sure. And the other thing, people think that checking your credit, some people think that checking your credit hurts your credit. That is not the case. I check my credit score probably once a week. You can use Credit Karma or Borrowwell. Those are connected to TransUnion and Equifax, which are two of the main places that lenders will look when they are pulling your credit report through the credit bureaus. So just, you know, if a third party is checking your credit for the purpose of loaning you, giving you money, say a car dealership or something along those lines, that is considered a hard pull, and that is what third parties are going to see, and that's what's going to hurt your score. If you are checking your own credit for the purpose of checking your credit, that is considered a soft pull, and that is not going to hurt your credit.
I always found it stupid how if someone checks your credit it gets so stupid.
dinged. Honestly,
what's the point in that?
I know I don't know how.
I think because of usually when your credit is being checked, you're trying to get something. So you're either trying to get a loan or trying to purchase an item that you can't afford otherwise. Because like say for example, if I make $500,000 a year, chances are I'm not gonna be on a phone plan with a 2-year tab. I'm just gonna buy the phone. Right?
Yeah.
So usually these credit products or items, a lot of people say, oh, they're traps. Because then you buy a phone, something simple as a cell phone, you buy a phone on a tab, 2 years later, everything already upgraded. And sometimes our ego wants the new things as well. So we're constantly putting ourselves back on a phone tab. Same for like either leasing a car or financing, you're just constantly. So a lot of these credit products, in my opinion, are there to like kind of like, it's intended to quote unquote have us get certain things, but it's kind of a trap for if you don't know what you're doing with it.
Exactly.
That's the key part, but unfortunately, not a lot of us are financial, literate when it comes to these sort of things.
Which is why
I wasn't all the time. So
yeah. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's why you guys brought me on the podcast, right? Because we got to educate the people too, you know?
Because a lot of things mans don't care, but when it comes to credit score, man do care still. When it comes to credit score, man them do care.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, and if you're an entrepreneur, make sure you're filing your taxes, okay? We got to have your taxes filed because they're going to want your tax returns, see how much money you're making. And on that same token, if you're an entrepreneur, you are going to most likely need to put a little more down than the traditional person. You might have to go to...
I had a question. Sorry, not to cut you.
Yeah.
But so for the first-time home buyers, can I use my first-time home buyer and then rent out my property?
That's interesting.
Okay, so
good question.
The politically correct answer is no. You cannot do that. If you are going to purchase a property and you are saying that you are living in it to do 5%, you are living in the property.
Because I wanted to make sure that people understand that a lot of people trying to get into real estate, they're trying to get investment properties. Like buy it, rent it out, whatever.
Flip it.
So like if I use that 5% or that first time home buyers program, can I rent out my finished basement or...
So here's the thing. If a lender is aware of the fact that you're going to be renting a property, you're most likely going to need to put 20% down.
And that's why I wanted...
The caveat. Okay, here's the caveat. It's called house hacking. Have you guys heard of house hacking before?
Heard of it. You have to tell me, though.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So
I am Groot. Go ahead.
Okay, sounds good. So, it's really hard to purchase a property now. Back in the day, you could have put, 20% down, purchase a property, everyone's happy. Nowadays, you need significantly more. So a way to increase your pre-approval and your purchasing power, which is something that I like to use with a lot of my first-time home buyers, is that you can actually go to a property that has multiple units and you can go to your lender, like you would go to your realtor and say, how much do you think I could get in rent for the bottom unit or the top unit? Say $1,800. We would then go to the lender and say, hey, look, we can get $1,800 in rent here. Can you add some of that to my income to increase my pre-approval? Okay. So you'll get pre-approved for more. And then at the same time, you're living in the property. So you can put as low as 5% down, but then you also have someone renting out the property in another level.
But I would have to disclose that before I even start the mortgage process.
So if you are going to purchase a property and you're going to live in it, regardless of the amount of units, you're good to just put as low as 5% down. If you are going to purchase a unit property with multiple units, it would be in your best interest to tell your mortgage person because then they can add money to your pre-approval.
That now, one is more like like I said, a duplex or
like a duplex,
like
a triplex, that type
Not
of
even
thing.
Like a little apartment.
Like these houses in Brampton and Mississauga.
Pardon?
More like these houses in Brampton,
and Mississauga,
in the suburbs, like because like but most of them are like illegal basements. and
Exactly.
stuff.
That's what you want is a legal basement in order to get this. Tell you guys quickly. So I bought my first house last year and I bought a
Congratulations.
duplex. Thank you very much. It was a duplex and we'll touch quickly on fixed and variable rates because I know that's sort of a big topic right now.
Yeah.
But essentially with a fixed mortgage, what happens is that you'll go to the lender, you'll say, yeah, I want my mortgage payments to be the exact same, let's say for the term of 5 years. So I want it to be the exact same. They're like, okay, it's going to be $2,000 every month. When interest rates go up, your payment is still going to stay at $2,000 a month.
No matter what.
No matter what.
So even if it's the inverse, like it goes down.
Yeah, so the only issue with the fixed is that in the event that interest rates go up so high that you're only paying interest, you're going to have to sort of fix your rate, but it's always going to be fixed at that. So if the rates go down, it's fixed. You could potentially try to break it. But the trade-off with getting a fixed rate is that they're typically a bit more expensive because you have that peace of mind and you know, okay, I'm only going to do 2,000. Then there's variable rates, and variable rates are, hey, I'm willing to sort of ride the waves. The interest rate's going to be a bit cheaper, right? But you're going to have to ride sort of the ebbs and flows of the market. The issue with the market right now is that I purchased my house. I'll be completely transparent. I did a variable rate because interest rates were historically low at the time that I purchased my property because during COVID, no one really knew what was going on. So the government was just giving money out for free, right?
Yeah.
So I purchased my property. I got a variable rate. 8 hikes later, I'm now at an extra $1,700 a month in my mortgage.
Papa Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So less than a year later, I'm at $1,700 more a month. Once again, the importance of I wanted to purchase a property that had multiple units so that in the event that interest rates go up, I at least have multiple streams of income, sort of providing a little bit of a buffer for me. I'm still out of pocket quite a bit of money.
Because you would have to for
multiple,
example, if you do multiple units, you purchase it, you're getting $2,000 from the top floor, $1,000 from the top floor. You figured out that your mortgage is gonna be $3,300 variable to start, and then what happens over time now is the interest rate keeps going up.
Yeah.
So now you're maybe breaking even, or you're only paying $300. Now that it keeps hiking and hiking, and now that is your mortgage is now $4,500. You're gonna have to come out of pocket for the difference.
That's
and
exactly it.
you can't. Then on top of that, you can't go to your
Tenants.
tenants and say that, hey, interest rate is rising. Can you raise up the rent a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with inflation too, right? Like the tenants, their eggs are costing more. Their gas is costing more. So it's just hard for everyone. But when you start out purchasing a property and you're like, oh geez, I'm cash flowing, my interest rate's super low, and then all of a sudden rates go up once and you're like, okay, there's my Uber Eats for the month. That's, but it's light, I could sacrifice. And then it's like, okay, second hike.
Oh,
okay,
no Disney.
No Disney,
No
right?
Disney and Netflix.
Looking a little hectic. And then after 3, I'm like, I got to call my mortgage guy, see what's going on. Do I lock into a fix? Do I stick variable? But none of us...
So you can lock it?
You can switch.
Oh,
There might
okay.
be penalties depending on what type of mortgage you decide to go with. But yeah, I called and no one was really expecting rates to go up, at which the rates did, right? So we're like, no, we'll just stay. And then after 5, I'm like, I'm stuck. It's just the L regardless.
You
And
have
now
to, you have to hug it until they lower
You
it.
have to hug it
It's an
until you
Eastside
lower
Mario
it.
thing.
thought-
No
you
STK
thought-
for
no,
you. No
not even
STK
Eastside
for
Mario's
you.
fam.
Straight
You thought the
Eastside
government was
Marios.
gonna give all that CERB money and not get it back in blood?
Say bada boo bada bing.
Get it back in blood.
Come on.
Yeah, so it's a little hectic, but as long as you strategize, and that's why there's like what we call a stress test, so they'll make you qualify at a rate that's higher than the current rate, just to make sure that you'll be able to stay afloat when rates go up. But I would say right now it's just a little interesting because there's some people who locked in 5 years ago pretty low, and now that it's their time to renew their mortgages, they're in a weird position because it might be hundreds or even thousands more a month, and it's not. They're
That's
not in the
pretty
best
crazy, yeah.
position.
So I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
You're in realtor. You're in that industry. What's with the U.S. market? Because like they can have a fixed 30-year mortgage. Why can't we have that?
Yeah, why can't we have a lot of stuff that the U.S. has? I really don't know.
Except for the gun part.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Yeah.
Only when it comes to real estate, right? You guys see these houses in Texas and stuff on Instagram sometimes.
Yeah, it's like
These
350
big
and it's like
houses.
mansions, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
But
no.
I read the comments one time for these Texas houses, and it's like, yo, they're literally near the border.
Oh yeah.
So like people are like literally hopping fences and they can see through their backyard.
they can see. Oh.
And then there's the crime rate because like you have the border patrol and then all these other stuff. So I read like I guess it's I'm not even gonna shit on anybody's neighborhood.
It's the pro
here.
and con to certain.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the bad areas apparently. But
No.
still low. Still low.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll watch a man hop
take
over. I'll watch a
Right?
man hop over as long as my interest rate's low.
Equity?
Plus
Facts.
in America, right? So you get
Oh my gosh.
ready, right?
Stand your ground.
I have
Yeah,
a question.
yeah.
Yeah, stand your ground, right? It's fucking law.
Yeah.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
you said you bought a duplex, right?
Yeah.
As your first time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So it's basically like a small apartment, kind of.
So it's a detached house. It has 3 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs and a kitchen and stuff. And then in the basement, it has 1 bedroom, a bathroom. We're gonna add another bedroom just so I can get a bit more rental income.
Okay.
But we have people downstairs. But yeah, it's
So
essentially
just
a house
one
with
unit.
with
2 units.
with 2
Two
units.
two
So like
floors.
2 doors. We call it 2 doors.
Oh, okay, so a
Um,
basement.
A
Legal
basement,
basement.
yeah. You go to the
Okay.
basement, and then there's like a common laundry room, and then the people can go in their unit from the basement, and then upstairs they have upstairs, and they can go downstairs if they want to.
So how would the person already living there feel like? How would they feel if another person's added?
They have no choice. They have to hug it.
Yeah, they have to hug it. I mean,
they
you're not
hug
an
it?
owner. That's the perks of ownership, right? Because you have the security of. Oh, geez, got the clapper.
Come on.
Nice one, yeah.
Just having the security
Yeah.
of being able to decide who lives with you, what you're going to be paying, etc. Which is why I sort of preach so much, ownership within our community, because at the end of the day, if we're renting, we're more vulnerable and we're not in control of the roofs over our heads. So at least have more people within our community either purchasing, or if they don't have the means to purchase, hopefully there's I have met so many Black investors. It is amazing, and young investors, right? So what I'm going to try to do is sort of create a little bit of a community where we can even share our resources, because as you purchase your first property, okay, but the more that you try to build your portfolio, the more issues, or I guess obstacles, that you're going to face. So for example, you might be maxed out or tapped out with your income, or your credit might not be the best, or you don't have the liquid capital. So there's different ways that people can provide value when it comes to joint ventures, right? Maybe you're a handyman, you don't have any capital, you don't have good credit, you're not going to be on title, you're not going to buy the house. We're going to add you to title, but you don't have to provide certain
capital.
things, the capital, and you'll still get the benefits, because anytime there's an issue with the property,
You
you
fix
can
it.
go and fix the issue. And to some people, like for me, I'm not a handyman, so that's invaluable. So if someone came to me with a proposal and said, look, let's run this, I have XYZ and I'm going to bring this to the table,
Got you with
that
it.
might be something
Got
that
you.
I consider, right? So
Facts.
there's always ways to sort of get into ownership. And like I said, it's really exciting, the people I'm connecting with and sort of the things that they're coming up with, but we're trying to come up with different ways in which people who might not necessarily have the capital or people to partner with can get into ownership and get their slice. Because even if you're doing a joint venture, you might not necessarily get the biggest slice of the pie, but at the end of the day, you get your slice,
Yeah,
and then
bet-
you can take that
Yep.
and make your own pie.
Better
you
than
know?
what you were getting before. I'll hug it.
Exactly.
So for like investment property again, it has to be 20%. Down,
Yeah,
right?
you're looking at
No.
20% down
So
if
like-
it's for investment
So
purposes.
I can have four of us can come together and put that 20% down.
So
Or is there a limit?
I want to say like my 4th or 5th transaction was super awesome, super touching. It was actually 4 young women, and they got together, friends and family, and they purchased their first property. It only had 1 unit, but we saw that it could potentially have 2 units. So they purchased the property, they added another unit, and then they rented it out to 2 sets of people. So they have 2 sets of income coming in, and they automatically, we call it sweat equity. They forced the appreciation or the value of the property to go up because they made it multiple units, right? So whoever goes to purchase this property is going to see a lot of value in the fact that they can get multiple streams of income. And as an investor, something that is very smart to do is say a duplex conversion or adding another unit, because that increases the buyer's purchasing power. Because remember, the buyer, if they use projected rent, they can add that to their approval. So by doing these renovations and adding the unit, you could actually not only increase the value of your home, but increase the budgets of the people who are going to purchase your property.
So I buy a house for 500,000, right? So I buy a house for 500,000. 4 of us come together. We have to put 20% down. So that's 100.
Yeah.
100, right?
Yes,
So
sir. Quick
25
math.
each, right?
Yeah, sure. It doesn't have to be 25 each.
A man
Yeah,
don't care property.
correct. So
That's
Give me
crazy.
5%.
It could be, yeah. So like for
No,
example,
it's 20%. But what she's saying is, we can split it up different. If I have 10% and then you other three want to break down 3 point whatever,
Yeah.
you can do that. I own 10% of the, or I don't know.
But why
You
is it
could.
20% if you're a first-time home buyer?
Because, like, say for example, if you have more capital to invest, so all right, try
sorry,
to be
no,
realistic.
I see what what
Yeah.
you're saying. So he's just saying if you're a first time home buyer,
Oh,
even if
first-time
it's an
home buyer.
investment property, why we can't put lower. But if you're not going to move in the property,
Yes, that
and you're
part.
claiming it as an investment property to your lender, you're going to need to put the 20% down.
Even
Most
though it's the
likely.
first time.
So for your
Yes.
first time home buyer,
Okay.
if you plan to rent it out, you gotta do it under the table. You get what I'm saying?
I
She
don't
did not
hear
say that.
anything.
She's not part of
I don't
it.
hear anything.
She does nothing, right?
Yeah.
I just heard Man Don't Care podcast property. That's all I heard in my head. That's an idea. Mandem, Mandem.
Yeah.
You can have a Man Don't Care property, you know. That,
Yeah.
yo.
Just-
I'll save it. Don't get twisted, yo. I'll cut down on Oxtail for the culture. I swear I'll cut down on
Yeah,
Oxtail.
this
Beef
is
patties,
interesting.
I'll hold it out for a year, respectfully.
Good,
But
good.
yeah. So like for that part, yeah, you like 4 people can come together, purchase a house. I just wanted to know if there's like a limit of amount of people who can actually purchase a house.
Honestly, I've never really heard of a limit. I've heard of 8 people purchasing a property together before. It really just depends. But of course, the more people you add to the transaction, the more complex it becomes. So you want to make sure that you're talking to a lawyer and really just knowing, for example, exit strategies. If someone wants to leave earlier than when you guys plan on disposing the property,
yeah.
you know, who's going to get what, how is that going to work?
Who's serious or not, too.
Exactly.
That's
And
key.
then once again, credit is always a thing. So whoever is going to be on the pre-approval, you got to make sure that their credit's on point, because if it's not, it's going to hurt you when it comes to your approval and interest rates. So you could have 6 people come together. If 4 of those 6 people have busted credit, it might actually decrease your purchasing power because of that. So it's important to vet the people that you're working with. And I've even heard of horror stories where people think that they're working with someone that, you know, they love and trust, and money changes people, right? So you got to make sure that you're definitely lawyered up.
And for like, I know you're not the mortgage broker or whatever.
Yeah.
But what rough estimate? What credit tier should you be like? What's
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to ask that. What's the tier? Like
What's
the
the tier?
80s, the 70s?
Yeah. So
Can a 60 go on? Like, is
No.
the 6, can it go on?
no. So the golden
Wombo.
number is 680.
680?
680, you will get access to the majority of lenders and the majority of the best rates. So
And when we
680
say
is the
when we say
magic number.
lenders, can I go to TD Bank with 680?
So here's the thing. I'm very passionate about this.
You're a beast.
You go when you go to get a mortgage, you can go to a bank or you can go to a mortgage agent / broker. Okay. When we go to the bank, say a bank with TD, a lot of people think, oh, I have to go to my bank
Yeah.
to get a mortgage. So I'm like, hey, TD, I want to get a mortgage. Perfect. What's TD going to do? They're going to give you TD's rate. They are only going to give you TD's rate because that's the only rate they have access to.
Yeah, they want to stay. They want you to stay with
Yes.
them.
What else? They're going to monopolize your portfolio. If I have my TFSA there, I have my, savings there, and now I have my mortgage, what is going to incentivize them to give me the best rates? I'm not diversified, right? So if you go to a mortgage agent or broker, these guys have access to a variety of banks and alternate lenders. So what they're going to do is when you go to the bank, you have to negotiate with the bank on your behalf to get the best rate. When you go to a mortgage agent or broker, by the way, they're free. By the way, working with a realtor to buy a house is free because the seller pays for the realtor. When you go to a mortgage agent or broker, they are working on your behalf. So they're going to go, this lender is giving Jaden this much, and this lender is giving Jaden this much. So you guys can fight it out, and whoever gives the best rate will give it.
Just
basic-
like it's just like car insurance. When you have a broker,
Yes.
they give you because for me, when I got my first insurance, my broker's like, all right, I'm gonna look around. This is the best one out of all them. You want to take it, yes or no? And then when something happened, they're like, all right, this is the second best. You want to take this, yes or no? That's interesting.
Or like, just so I could break it down and understand.
Yeah.
It's like when you're shopping for your cell phone. If you go into the Bell store only, they're going to only sell you TV, internet, home phone from Bell. And if you
Yeah.
have everything together in a bundle,
Yeah.
it's going to look better for them. So they'll
Yeah.
give you more stuff. Versus going to Cellular Point
Or wireless wave.
or Wireless Wave where they'll say,
Yep.
okay, this is what Fido has.
This
This
is
is
what
what
Bell,
Rogers
this is
have. This is
Kudo.
what Kudo, Bell.
Yeah.
And then they'll give you the best one. And then you pick pretty much. Right?
And then you exactly.
Yeah,
So
okay,
that's how it works. And once again, they are free. So a lot of people are just under the impression when they go to buy a house, naturally, I'm going to go to my bank to get a mortgage, right? But if people come to me, the first thing I say is, are you working with someone for your mortgage, right? Because the barrier of entry is so low, sometimes people are working with bums. And the bums, they mess up the deals.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll put it out there.
Yeah.
I found out somebody sent me like one of these pre-construct. Oh, we could touch on pre-construction if you know anything about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But so they sent me a picture on a pre-construction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my homeboy sent me this already. Like, how do you know about this? And she goes, I'm a realtor. I'm like,
What?
I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, how? What? That's why I was like, oh, how did you even get into this? Because you're not
the type that you think
the
would be
sharpest,
a realtor.
you know what I mean?
Tool in the shed. Yeah. Okay. So honestly, I can go in on pre-construction, but I'll just sort of go on this same type of topic and just say that when you go to purchase a pre-construction property, you're most likely going to need 20% down. Okay. So even as a first-time home buyer, you're most likely going to need 20% down, and it's going to be a staggered deposit. So what's going to happen is, say the property is going to be ready in 3 years, your deposit of 20% is going to be spread out over those 3 years. So it could be beneficial to you if you don't have the best credit and you want time to, improve your credit, save your money, etc. But, some of the issues that you need to consider, or some things you should consider when purchasing pre-construction, is that there could be, for example, project delays. You could work with a developer that doesn't have the best reputation or doesn't have a lot of experience. So what we've seen during COVID is that some projects actually got canceled. So here you guys are like,
with the signs and their protests.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Right? So it's like you're waiting for a property to be completed for 2 years, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, no, we're canceling the project, right? And that happens when, for example, you're working with a developer that's not extremely established. They don't have the capital to stay afloat when, for example, interest rates go up, the cost of labor goes up, the cost of materials go up. They can't stay afloat, and they can't, cut the costs anywhere. Whereas if you're working with a reputable builder, these reputable builders aren't the ones who are canceling projects, right? So you might pay a bit of a premium to work with them, but you will have the peace of mind and the comfort in knowing that they will complete the project.
So what you're saying is Eglinton
I
West
was just
is not being ran by a reputable builder.
Yes. Yo, hold
I
on.
don't think
you
so.
deserve a clap for that, brother. You deserve a clap for that.
Because I don't know what kind of pre-construction timetable they were using, but it's like,
So
that was crazy.
you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
But back to the whole sharpest tool in the shed thing. When you go to purchase pre-construction, I always tell people, if you go to the sales center, the mortgage people and the realtors at the sales center are working for the builder. They're not working for you. They might not have your best interests at heart. Yeah. I love using social media. I tell people, if you ever have any questions about a deal that you're doing and you're not represented by a realtor, run it by me. I will let you know if I think it's a good deal. Yeah. I saved 2 people. Was it last month? 2 months ago. 2 people from very horrible pre-construction transactions. And all I simply did is I said, hey, what's the property that you purchased? Where is it? Both of them were decent buys, decent prices. And I said, okay, so what does your financial situation look like? And they told me how much money they're making and what their debt is. And I said, look, I'm not a mortgage person. I do my due diligence. I know a bit about mortgages, but I don't think you guys are going to be able to qualify for these properties when the time comes to close. And you guys are putting hundreds of thousands down. So I would recommend talking to a mortgage person. They said, oh no, the mortgage person at the sales center said, we'll deal with it at close. Okay, but if you can only qualify for a quarter of the property, what's going to happen at close, right? So I connected them with my mortgage people, and my mortgage people are calling me, man, that was botched. Like, good thing they reached out to you. They're going to go get their deposits back because these people at the sales center, they're trying to do the sale.
What happens if
right?
you can't close? If you put all this money down the
They keep it.
Are you serious?
That's it. They keep all your
All
money.
that hard-working money,
else.
bro.
Basically, it's like it's like a repo.
Yeah. In a sense.
In a sense.
Really?
In a sense.
They don't give you back that money.
No, they don't
No.
take. No, they
Why?
don't take
I'm
the
coming
money.
in that
So,
pre-construction and rip
right? So it really depends. So that's why you have to work with
Yeah.
a good lawyer, someone who's well versed when it comes to pre-construction, because they'll be able to take note of certain things like, okay, is there a way that you can escape the deal? Can you assign the property, which means can you sell this contract to someone else in the event that you can't close on the property? So there's little things. Do you have a question?
Speaking
So-
of that, like, isn't that a whole industry by itself? Because what I found is like a lot of people are buying pre-construction with the intention to sell the contract.
To sell the contract, yes. So we'll get into that a little bit. So assignments are essentially someone will purchase a property. With pre-construction, we say you buy tomorrow's house at today's price. with the way pre-construction has been going recently with interest rates and stuff, you're not really getting the best deals on pre-construction at this very moment, which is a little unfortunate. But there are some people who purchase pre-construction simply for the idea of, okay, I'm going to purchase this right now for $500K. 5 years down the line, it's going to be worth $700K. I'm going to offload this property early for $650. I'm making $150, but then it's also going to incentivize someone to purchase my property because it's $50K cheaper than the current properties on the market. So that person is purchasing for the purpose of assigning a property. Now, there's also investors who only purchase assignments. So these are people who like pre-construction, but they don't want to wait the 3, 4, 5 years for it to be built. So they're saying, you know what, I'll pay a little bit more, but still get, say, a $50,000 discount, right? And they're happy because there's still a bit of meat on the bone, and then they don't have to wait that amount of time. Now, what we're seeing right now with high interest rates is that people purchase properties, but they weren't expecting interest rates to go up at the rate in which they have. So they know that when the time comes to close on their property, they're not going to actually be able to afford to close. So they are called distressed sellers, or people who need to assign because they can't close. So there's some crazy good deals going on right now. And there's some people who are only purchasing distressed assignments. So they're like, look, these are guys with a lot of capital. They say, look, I'll purchase cash right now, or I have this much money, I'll buy, and you're good to go, peace of mind. So they didn't wait the amount of time that those guys did, and they're still getting a discount, not necessarily purchasing at $500,000.
Clearance rack for houses.
Clearance rack for houses, yes, but you
It's
need
a
to have the
Nordstrom
capital.
rack.
So basically,
It's a Nordstrom rack.
It's Zellers.
So I'm,
Valley
I'm,
Village.
I'm a little confused on that. So
Okay.
what you're saying is that the distressed sellers are people that couldn't close.
Yes, some people who cannot close.
Yeah.
I would say distressed, but it's just people who can't close. So there's people who bought pre-construction a few years ago. They thought the
couldn't
property
finish
was
the
going to be
job.
worth a certain amount.
And they couldn't finish the job.
Exactly. And they just can't close on the
So
property.
now they lost that money.
So they're, like a lot of them are taking L's.
They're probably going to lose that money.
On the
so now
bottom.
they have to
Probably,
sell.
exactly, because they're going to have to sell. So some people are still making a little bit of money depending on what you sold it for. But I also know people who are taking pretty big losses right now. And
Why
on
would they be taking losses if they can't sell it?
taking losses if they can or they can't sell it, sorry.
They can't sell it.
If they
No, they
can't
can-
sell it,
yeah.
then they might not be able to close on the property, and then they lose their deposit.
So they have to
So,
throw a Hail Mary.
So if they
just
sell
have
it-
to throw
A
it
Hail
out there.
Mary.
They have to
If
throw
they
it. Be
sell
like,
it, they don't really take a loss.
Well, so say you buy the property for $500K,
Yeah.
right? A few years down the line, you try to sell it. No one's purchasing your specific assignment because there's 5 other units in that development that are selling. So now yours is just sitting. What are you gonna do? Okay, maybe I'll sell for $520 because you want to make money, right? But the issue with selling at $520, number one, opportunity cost. Your money was just tied up for 3, 4, 5 years, and now it didn't do anything, right? At least sitting in the bank, you're making a penny a year. You're not even making a penny,
Or
right?
it's in a stock or something.
Or a stock, exactly, right?
ETF or whatever.
But okay, I sort of lost track of where I was going.
Why would
so
they lose-
repeat.
why would they
oh,
lose money?
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because say you go to sell that property, you're probably going to use a realtor. And then there's also going to be another realtor who's bringing in that buyer. So you're going to have to pay the 2 realtors to do that transaction. Might be 5%, might be 3%, might be 2%,
Plus on
whatever.
top of that, sales
that's on
transfer
top.
tax and all that
Plus,
stuff.
exactly, and then plus the lawyer fees and all of that. That's where you see.
Oh,
It's like-
taking
it's-
a lot.
That's why when you see most of these houses, like
That's pretty dangerous. Yeah.
most of these houses, when you see it's for 500,000, and then it's not really for. I learned that it's not really for 500,000. If they're selling the house, it might end up being 550.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the goal is for them to at least get 500,000. So
500, yeah.
if I know that selling this phone
Yeah, I was about
is
to say.
$1,000, right? But I know that if I sell this phone through a realtor, they're gonna take $25 off this phone.
Yeah.
You're gonna put
My
a
lawyer
little
fee is
money.
gonna be another $20 off this phone. Plus, I have to tell the government that I sold the phone, so I have to pay them part of the phone. I can't list the phone as $1,000.
You gotta
I have
put
to
as
factor
more.
in all those fees on top of the phone and sell
Yeah.
it for $1,100 if I'm trying to make at least a $50 profit.
It's like
I
it's
see.
like
Yeah.
basically selling shoes. It's the same thing. I was just
Yeah,
like the way
StockX
she was
or
talking. It's like
something. Yeah.
StockX. Man, will buy a shoe that used to be $200, buying it for $5, and then trying to resell it, knowing the fact no one's selling it because people are selling it cheaper. So it's like shit.
Yeah.
I gotta sell it for like a $550
Yeah.
instead of selling it for $1,000 and making a $500. I'm
Yeah.
getting
And then
$50.
I'm bad at shoes, so what's like the main Jordan?
Jordan 11.
Jordan 11.
No, sorry, Jordan 1's right now.
Jordan 1s, right? So if you're holding on to a Jordan 1,
Or a dunk. Yeah.
how much for a Jordan 1? I don't know.
Well, if it's like a a Nike Dunk, like for example, Nike Dunks are moving right now, it would be around like probably
200, right?
200.
So if you have a Nike Dunk,
Yeah.
and everybody already have that Nike Dunk,
You can't sell it for the price that you want it
can't
for
sell it.
because everyone has
you bought it for 200. You're seeing the price keep going down because everybody already have their Nike Dunk.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna be like, yo, I just want to get rid of this. Yo, just give
So-
me 190 for it.
And see, so the issue is when you can't get rid of it. Say for some reason you can afford to not get rid of it,
You have
but
to
you're
hug it.
struggling. You're paying someone to come and clean those shoes
Yeah.
every month
Every
Yeah.
month.
You
for
have to hug it.
hundreds of dollars,
have to
right?
hug
Which
that.
is your mortgage.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can't afford the mortgage because the rates went up, but you can't offload the shoe and you're paying for the maintenance of the shoe
You're done.
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
done.
Plus, you're paying taxes every year, aka property taxes
Property tax.
on the shoes.
Yeah.
And
So-
they
so
need
a
to
lot-
get
a lot
rid
of
of that.
people-
So they gotta
So if-
just figure it out.
Yeah.
And if I don't know, foreclose. If you foreclose, you lose.
Foreclosures, yeah. You lose, like the bank takes everything, but it's a little different with the pre-construction because if you can't close, then yeah, you're just not getting it.
You're not saying
But
it,
if the bank takes the property, then yeah, you're just SOL.
Property
at
tax
that
can be
point.
added to the mortgage, correct?
Property taxes, so yeah, you can sort of roll it in. A lot of people like to do just like upfront on the year, or you can do, I want to say it's like quarterly payments. But one thing that you should take into account when you purchase a property is during the closing costs, this is why it'll be like 1.5 to 3%. It's called adjustments. So say you purchase a property and the owner owns the property until March, but they paid for the property taxes up front at the beginning of the year. They're only living in the property till March. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November has already
quarter.
been covered. So you are going to have to adjust that
For
and pay them
75%
the
of the-
difference of 75%
That's crazy.
at closing. Right? So those are the little variables
No,
at
it is.
closing
A lot of shit
costs.
you
It's a
gotta
lot
learn.
of
that you
costs,
have
It's
to
a lot of thought, but it makes so much
lot of-
sense.
a
And
lot
I'm
of
not the
stuff together.
swiftest deer in the forest.
Let me ask you this though, like how if you don't mind me asking, how far do you live from your rental property?
not far.
Not far, like in
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
10 minutes.
What's your thoughts on like if you're trying to purchase? Because you know how they're trying to get us to move to Alberta or buy in
I was
Alberta.
gonna ask that.
What's your thoughts on like buying a property outside of province?
Or in Alberta.
Or in Alberta. Okay, so we're talking about, a lot of people are talking about pre-construction, right? So when I say 20% down, that is mostly for pre-constructions in Ontario. I don't know if you guys have seen pre-constructions,
less.
Alberta, whatever. Some are as low as 5%, and they're like, oh, we'll
Really?
guarantee.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll guarantee you a renter for the first year or
Yeah.
two. Right? So
Yeah.
for you, it's like, okay, the house price is cheaper and
Yeah.
I'm going to have a guaranteed rental income.
Yeah.
This sounds like a good idea. Just being completely honest, I've had my license for just over 2 years. The people who I know who have purchased pre-construction, the pre-construction still has not completed. So my biggest thing with purchasing, in a different province, completely okay. You just want to make sure that you purchase at the right price because your end goal is to move back to Ontario most of the time, right? So it's purchasing out there to have enough money to then come back and purchase. You want to make sure that you purchase, once again, you want a reputable builder, right?
Yeah.
And you'd want to work with a realtor who knows that area and those builders, because the builders out there might not be the same as the builders over
that's
here.
correct.
So do
Right.
builders have like a Yelp review?
Yeah, so I always say like Google review and do as much due diligence as you can, even when you're going to buy a condo. So with a condo, there's like a condo corporation, right? And you also have a condo board.
Yeah.
So when you go to purchase a condo, sorry, I don't want to go too far into it. But when you go to purchase a condo, there is a condo board. And sometimes the condo board is getting a lawsuit. There's a lawsuit because something bad happened in the property. And
Yeah.
you can actually get a background check on the property before you go to purchase. But this is why it's also important to do your due diligence. Go on Google and search for these developers. See what projects they have completed. And in the event, for example, there's a development in Durham. If it sounds too good to be true, sometimes it is. They were saying like 8% down. I went to the model home. I'm knocking on the walls. I'm touching the floor. Trash. So
Shitty.
right? So I told all
Shitty.
the people, like, don't purchase this development because the quality of the work is just not good. So
Yeah.
Yeah, like at first when people told me about pre-construction, I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool and all that. That makes sense, you know. But some of these properties that are being built,
yeah.
bruh,
You
I was
can
in
build it up with
I was
Lego.
in Kitchener one time. I heard
Yeah.
the next person sneeze.
bro.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no like soundproofing or anything, right? The walls are super
The walls
thin.
are
That's
thin,
crazy.
bro.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
imagine you purchase a pre-construction.
Yeah.
It's finally completed. You go in there and
And
you
you
can
hear a man breathe on the other
somebody
side of the
breathe.
wall. That's
Yeah.
mad. That's
Right?
mad.
What would you do,
Heard a
bro?
man
You already
sneeze,
invested
it's
all this money in the house,
Yeah.
and the house is built with poor quality.
But see,
Yep.
that's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's why you have to be careful. So overall, I do think that purchasing in another province is, it's a good idea. You can get a lot more for your money out there, and then you just have to have an appropriate plan. So I have some people who are like, okay, I'm gonna go purchase in say Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, but my goal 5 years down the line is to purchase in Ontario, right? So it's like, how do we come up with a plan, projected, values down the line in that area, connect with a realtor in that area to get an idea of what it might be worth, and then make a plan with your mortgage person so that we can sort of say, okay, maybe this year you will sell and then come try to purchase a property in Ontario. So I think that's totally fine.
I saw someone online. They said that instead of doing that, wouldn't it make more sense to like instead of putting 5% over some property in Alberta?
Yeah,
If your purchasing power is 300,000,
yeah.
why not just come together and buy something for 600,000 with someone that you can trust here?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that make more sense to do
Yeah.
versus going?
I think so.
Because I was thinking, like, if you have a rental, the reason why I ask you how far your rental property is from you is just like, how would you manage it if it's far out?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of Toronto is dead. You can't like in order. What did they say? Like in order to have a $1 million home in Toronto, you need to be making 200
At least 200 something K, yeah.
200 something K per
Yeah,
year,
Yeah.
right? And I think the average income for Toronto, the average income is what 45,
Yeah.
something like that.
Minimum.
Not anything close to what you'll need to purchase a property.
Yeah, and if it's 4.5 times what you make,
Yeah.
that
You
means
need
your purchasing
8
power
mans.
is gonna be
Yeah.
in the 200,000.
You
Yeah.
need 8 mans
Yeah.
to get it.
Right?
Yeah.
Literally 8 mans.
No,
So-
I love that you guys are using these calculations because they're very
mans.
important.
Right. So like, if that's the case, like, wouldn't it make sense to like, how do you since you're like
Yeah.
realtor, you're
Landlady.
buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you expand into like Windsor, for example?
I just had a client who purchased in Windsor. So yes, the importance of that goes back to the importance of working with the right realtor, right? You want to make sure that they have connections, right? So I have another brokerage, not like me, myself, but the
Yeah.
brokerage I work with, they have a location out in Windsor.
Right.
So anytime she needs a contractor, property manager, anything, all we do is we ask the brokerage, hey, who do your realtors recommend? And we use the recommended people, and it's been really good. So I would always recommend personally, if you can purchase in Ontario, just with the way that we have super crazy immigration targets, and the majority of them are landing in Ontario and specifically the GTA, I'm always going to be Team Ontario for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to living close to your property, it has been an absolute godsend. My dad, thankfully, is in the skilled trades. Anytime there's an issue with the property, he will go over.
Just
Yeah.
pay him 3 Coronas and a beef patty.
Yeah,
Good
right?
to go. Come
yeah.
on.
No, I took him to the Leafs game yesterday. He was super
He was
amped.
blessed.
Yeah.
What?
He's blessed. So yeah, that's very important. I actually just got a property manager. So I would say get a property manager if you can, because I'm telling you, I'm here working. I'm getting a call from my tenants. Oh, the dishwasher's not working. Oh, the toilet's clogged. Oh, the fire
Dishwasher-
alarm's not.
Yo, if I was the landlord, dishwasher not work. I'm the an.
But
What you want me buy? What you want me buy? Sponge?
yeah, idiot thing. Tell
Yeah,
them.
so the issue, right, is tenants, they have a lot of rights when it comes to your property, and they can
Oh.
say that you're impeding with, their quality of living or anything. And if you have any beef with your tenants right now, the landlord tenant board is backed up about 10 to 12 months. So if, say, they stop paying rent right now, you're going to have to wait 10 to 12 months to go into court
And
to
boot
get
them
them
out.
out the property.
Perfect. Thank you for bringing that up too, because a lot of times people think, oh, rental property is all rosy.
No.
Like if your tenant lose their job
Yeah.
and you're dependent on that $2,000 to pay part of your mortgage.
Yeah.
And it's not even two; it's $2,500 now.
Yeah.
But like, and if they can't pay it, then you can't go to TD Bank or whoever you got your mortgage from and say like, my tenant is not
Yeah,
paying the
okay.
rent.
You're gonna be
and,
like,
and worse, if you don't follow the instructions when it comes to not renting out your 5% first time home buyers thing, you can't even go to someone and be like, yeah, the illegal property that I'm renting out or my illegal basement that I'm renting out is no longer giving me income. So can y'all do something for me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like,
So,
It's
like,
tricky.
I hear okay, like if they lose their job, that's one thing. But I hear like some guys just don't want to pay.
No, mans are professional
Yeah.
squatters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you didn't see that
See,
news. Somebody
squatters.
rented the place, paid first and last,
Yeah.
and then stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
Stopped.
that's when I'd come in with a bat.
And no,
And that's when you'll come in with a prison time.
I don't care. That's the respect.
Yeah, yeah.
It's no, it is
Ain't
respect.
no one gonna do
so
that shit to me.
That's it is a respect thing, but it's unfortunate, and that's why some landlords, like I had I don't do too many rentals, but I had clients and their credit scores were like 790 something, and the people said, nah, we want significantly over 800 credit scores. And I'm thinking, mans that have significantly over 800 credit scores, they're purchasing properties, you know, like that's ridiculous. But people are afraid to have like new people come in their property because so many people have been squatting with interest rates, and there's barely, you know, any leverage for the investors. But then you also have to take into consideration that there's investors who purchase their properties, and maybe the people who have a lot of capital, it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. But for people like us, say we were leveraging our existing property to purchase a second property, say we have some type of, you know, line of credit or some type of rate, when interest rates go up, that interest on that loan is also going up. So not only is the interest on your primary residence going up, it could be going up on the loan that you have and
That's
the
crazy.
interest rate on your rental property. And if the tenants are not paying rent, you're in a really bad situation, and you might have to offload the property. So some people right now are literally offloading properties because they cannot afford to carry the property because, say, for example, tenants are giving issues. But at the same time, people who are purchasing properties, they're afraid to purchase properties with tenants right now because of what is going on.
Yeah.
So some people are asking for vacant possession, but some sellers aren't able to do that because the tenants aren't leaving, and they can't get the tenants to leave for at least 10 to 12 months because the landlord-tenant board is backed up. So they're taking L's for all that time.
Have you ever
All
seen?
I hear is a whole bag of headaches. That's
Yes.
what I'm hearing.
Have you ever seen a squatter get fixed with violence?
I have not seen it with my eyes, but I
Yeah.
have heard
Heard it.
of interesting situations.
Yeah,
Yes.
rumors, right? And they fixed up straight, right?
And
So-
but they were out, yeah. They
So
were definitely
wouldn't
out.
That's hilarious.
so would you prefer to have Airbnb or a tenant in those situations?
Okay, so this is very, very fresh
Yeah.
news. I'll discuss it on the podcast, give you guys some exclusive information. So my upstairs unit is vacant. There's a thing that you can do. I'm not going to get too much into it, but
Yeah.
it's called cash for keys. So sometimes when tenants will not vacate the property and the landlord and tenant board is backed up, you guys can negotiate a number to get them out the property. Okay? So I recently did this, and I have a property manager, and we are going to be Airbnb-ing it out.
So somebody wasn't paying you.
They were paying. They were paying.
Mm-hmm.
They were paying. Yeah, that's as far as I can go with that situation. But they were paying rent, but it just made sense to vacate the property. And my brother was gonna potentially move in, but now plans have changed, and I'm going to Airbnb the property.
Have you already done it,
So-
or you haven't done it yet?
No, so
You try
the
it out.
property.
I don't think people who understand are just gonna be a fan of that one.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna be a fan of that one.
yeah.
Did you count on?
I didn't catch on.
Okay,
So.
I'll explain after.
So yeah, there was that situation. But yeah, so you can do cash for keys, you can get them out, and now I'm gonna Airbnb. I have a property manager now, whoop whoop. So I'm not gonna deal with any of that. And I'm gonna Airbnb, test it out for a couple months, see how it goes. If it
Yeah.
doesn't go too well, then I will go back to having long-term tenants. But we just right now we're in the middle of there was a lot of people in the one unit, and they've been in there for a long time. So there's a little bit of things that we have to get redone, you know, maybe fix a couple things up, and then it will be ready for Airbnb.
Also,
Yeah,
you're living in the unit as well, right? Yeah.
No, I'm not living in the house. I'm living with my parents. Shout out to my parents. I'm allowed to live rent free, but that's
Oh, no.
So I don't want to. So isn't this this is an investment?
this is an investment property.
And you told them it's an investment.
I told them it's an investment
Yeah,
property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Of course. Why wouldn't
course.
we? We're upstanding
That's-
citizens.
Well, no. I'm totally capping. I'm totally capping. I told them that I'm living in the property, and I moved
you told them
in.
that it's an investment property. I remember when you told me. You know what I mean?
It's
You're living
okay.
in the
Well,
building.
no. I'll actually be honest. I'll be 100% honest. Yeah. So I said that I'm moving in the property, right? And I moved in the basement, and then I had the
Wait,
money
is there-
coming
wait,
in,
is
and then
there-
someone else came in the basement.
Is there a statute of limitations for any of these stuff? Could he get in trouble for any of this?
We're just gonna leave it at that.
We leave it at that.
We leave it at
Okay.
that.
We're gonna
and
leave it
that's
at that. We're gonna give her a
Bro,
good
like-
job. It's upstairs, Steve. It's
Like,
upstairs.
you gotta do what you gotta do. Landlord did that to me before, but at the time I didn't
Cash
know
for
that.
keys?
No, it's not. It wasn't. Basically, this is how landlords can get you out of the property. My son is coming. I need to move him in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you guys have to leave. Pre-COVID, they'll give you. Normally, landlord need to give you 60 to 90.
Yeah.
But that's pre-COVID. Now, like, if you don't have nowhere to go, you can be like, yo, I'm not leaving.
You could have still said fuck off though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
You could've.
pre-COVID, I would have been kicked out faster. Now everything is backed up. So theoretically speaking, if somebody's out there struggling and you need a place to stay, and you only have first and last, you could actually live in a place for a year.
We're not giving people ideas. I am a traumatized landlord. We are not doing that. That is
theoretically-
what we're not doing.
Theoretically speaking, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically
Got you.
speaking,
Theoretically
yes.
speaking, you could and after it's done, you don't own nothing. Well, I don't know. You have to legally sue or
Yeah. There's
litigation,
like
court, and
they could technically come after
Come
you,
after you,
down
but
the line though.
yeah.
So if you're, I'm not even gonna say.
Yeah,
that.
but it's
yeah,
like-
down the line.
If you see me as your landlord, don't even try that. Man.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Try
you.
that.
No, so that's why having a
I'm using violence.
so why the property manager comes clutch. But yeah, that's sort of it with my investment property. You want to make sure that you have, you know what you're doing with your rates. And I will say, my income alone, even though because I'm an entrepreneur, I wasn't approved for what I needed to be approved for. So I did add my father to the pre-approval to increase my purchasing power. But the thing is, it's one thing to get like, okay, yeah, you're pre-approved. Let's just use a number $1 million. Now you're pre-approved for $1 million, but can you carry the monthly mortgage on $1 million without that other person that helped you increase
Facts.
your budget, right?
Like
So
co-signers, you know.
exactly. So
Can you do it without the co-signer?
yeah,
Basically.
because if you can't, then it doesn't make sense to increase your purchasing power because you're gonna be, in trouble when it comes to actually paying the monthly mortgage.
So
Okay.
probably have one more question.
Yeah.
When do you think is a good time to buy?
Right
the
now.
market?
Like,
'Cause
should you try to wait out the market or?
No, I think that right now we're actually close to the bottom. I don't know when the
Really?
bottom
Already?
exactly is going to be. I think we are pretty close to the bottom. And I'm saying that because house prices are very connected with interest rates. And as interest rates go up, property values naturally go down because people's purchasing power has gone down. Once we stop seeing that interest rates, or once we start to see that interest rates are no longer going up, that's when people who are hesitant to get into the market, they're going to start coming into the market. And once interest rates go down, all the people who could qualify before but couldn't qualify anymore because interest rates went up, they're going to come back into the market. So what we're seeing right now, the past like 2-3 weeks, is first-time homebuyer properties, more than 10 offers every time on all these properties. So the competition is starting to heat up again. But I think that now is fairly close to the bottom. I think that at the end of this year or Q1 of 2024, interest rates are going to actually go down. And once interest rates go down, that's when people are going to really start heating up.
Do you think the ban on foreign investors will have any impact?
Absolutely not. And I say this because I think that the government checks off boxes sometimes just to check off the
To appease
boxes,
people.
but it doesn't really help people, especially first